Okay, welcome to this mini tutorial on using functions. We're going to have a look at composite functions and inverse functions a little bit. So here's a couple of examples. Imagine we were asked for f, g, x. Oh, we're going to perform the function of f, which is here, but our new input rather than x will be the function g itself. So let's rewrite this so it's a little bit clearer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert 4 lots of x minus 3 where x was in f. Just see that there. So that will be plus 2 all squared. And that is fg of x. Now you might be asked to expand that or simplify it. And in this case we could just say, okay, 4x minus 3 plus 2 minus 1 all squared, 16x squared minus 8x plus 1. Well, let's do another one of these compound functions. Let's imagine we're asked to do gh of x. Well, gh of x would be 4 lots of x squared minus 1 minus 3. So we're taking g here, and instead of the x, we're just putting in x squared minus 1. Well, again, we can simplify that quite nicely. 4x squared minus 4 minus 3. 4x squared minus 7. Well, sometimes you might be asked to do something like ffx or ggx or hhx. Let's just do ggx. That's going to be the nicest one to do. Well, that is just repeating the function g. So 4 lots of x minus 3. Well, instead of that, I do 4 lots of 4x minus 3 minus 3. Well, what does that give me? That's going to give me 16x minus 12 minus 3, or 16x minus 15. So that's the idea of a composite function. You can see it's a combination. We're doing a function, then doing another function. So the input really is one of the other functions. So hopefully those examples are clear. Another thing you may be asked for is something like 2fg of x. I've seen that crop into a few exam questions. So what you do there is you would just take 2 lots of fg of x. So if we go back here, there's my fg of x. So that's going to be 2 lots of 16x squared minus 8x plus 1. If you want to expand it, 32x squared minus 16x plus 2. Well, what might be useful is to know about inverting functions. So I'm going to invert a few of these. If we look here, now I want to find the inverse of f. Well, the way I find it probably best to teach this is if I say, okay, y equals x plus 2 squared. And then I'm going to rearrange from there. Square root of y is x plus 2. We're just assuming there we're taking the positive square root. And that would make x equal the square root of y minus 2. Just using your knowledge of rearranging functions. Again, I'm just taking the positive square root. Well, we've put a y in there we don't really need. I've just tend to put that in because that's how we're used to rearranging functions, and that's what finding the inverse function is. So f to the negative 1x, sorry, I'm going to write as square root of x minus 2. So I just replace that y with an x, and that is my inverse function. So you're using the rearranging skills, but just with different notation. And that inverse function is exactly what it says. It reverses the process of fx. But again, here we're just using, in this instance, the positive square root. So be a bit careful with that. Let's find inverse of g. So y equals 4x minus 3. 4x equals y plus 3. So I'll switch things round a bit there. So I'll put the 3 over there, becomes plus 3, y plus 3. Move that up. X equals y plus 3 over 4. I do the same thing here. I write g to the negative 1x. I'm putting it into the nice function notation. And I replace my y with an x. So x plus 3 over 4. Well, let's invert the last one, h. So y equals x squared minus 1. I want to get x squared on its own, so x squared equals y plus 1. And x is going to be the square root of y plus 1. Again, we're just assuming here, in this instance, the positive square root, because there is a negative. Where there's a positive square root, there's a negative as well. So let's put the right notation in. H to the negative 1x equals the square root of x plus 1. I tend to like a little bracket around there, makes it clearer. So that's a short tutorial on dealing with composite functions and inverse functions. There's a lot more you're going to need to do with those, but hopefully that makes those skills clearer.